Hey everybody, it's Amy here, Editor-in-Chief of the Austin Common, and we are in honor of Amplify Austin Day, celebrating some local nonprofit organizations that you can donate to and contribute with, and today we're going to be talking with Measure. Measure is a great local nonprofit organization that does a lot of work around data in order to fight racial inequities and racism in our local government systems and healthcare systems and all manner of different things. They're a great org, and they're going to be joining us in a second here to chat along with us. So we're just going to give it a minute or two and wait for them to come along. But in the meantime, I can share a little bit of information about Amplify Austin Day. If people aren't familiar with it, it is our city's annual day of giving, and basically it's an opportunity for people to Austinites to come together to try and raise as much money as we can in order to support our local nonprofit organizations. I think last year over $12 million were raised for local nonprofits, so lots of opportunities involved. So I see that Measure just joined, so I'm letting them in and we'll give them a quick sec. But hi, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Good, thanks for joining today.
Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Yeah, so I was just telling people who are coming on a little bit about what Amplify Austin Day is and things like that. But first, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Sorry, I was playing around with filters. I don't know what's happening right
Oh,
now.
I kind of like it. I thought it was like a celebration.
We'll keep the spirits going. But yes, I am Precious Azurée. I'm one of the co-founders and VP of Measure. We are a Black female-led data advocacy organization that focuses on providing free data support to Black and Brown-led organizations.
Awesome. And let's do a little history first. How did you all get started? What was sort of the motivation behind this work? Because I think it seems super unique. I'm not sure if there are a ton of organizations like yours out there.
Yes, so it is unique. Mimi Styles is our founder and president. And this measure actually started off as a project back in 2015. It was actually called Measure Austin. Mimi was challenged by chief of police she was asking in questions about the data and how we're able to actually measure police performance when we talk about community policing and things of that nature. And so chief of police had asked her to come up with the metrics. And so she's like, I'll do that. I'm going to figure out what the metrics should be. And that idea, that thought, that challenge, Mimi has been really great at just mobilizing the community and painting a vision. And I'm actually from Houston, Texas, and I'm based in Houston. And my friend at the time, she was the chief technology officer. Mimi was actually building her C-suite. And so from 2015 to 2017, she was like, I really want to put some structure around this and make this a real thing. And so I came on as the chief communications officer, making data look cool with my branding and marketing background. And I've always wanted to be more active in the social justice reform space. I just never knew what that looked like. So Measure actually gave me the opportunity to utilize all of my skills and career experience to then be for a great cause. And so my commitment to the work, my passion for the work, my passion for people has allowed me to still be here today. In 2019, the bylaws, I was rewritten in there as a co-founder. And then, that was actually 2018. And then 2019 was when I got promoted to VP. So yeah, Mimi is my sister in justice, and we are doing some amazing things with some amazing women and men as well. But the women, we kind of rule the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, obviously, one of the big reasons we're talking today is because it's Amplify Austin Day. I was saying earlier, it's our city's annual day of giving. We have a post that we did with you all earlier this week that has a link to it. If you go to the link in our bio, I'm sure the link in Measure's bio as well has the information there for donations. So if you are able to, that's the link to go to. And I'll say too, if people are listening here in the comments, feel free to ask questions if you've got any questions, and also maybe share other nonprofit organizations that you're supporting this Amplify Day. Let us know what other groups you like are doing great work, and always happy to share that as well. Okay, so we're talking about Amplify Day. One of the big things that we started talking about when we were talking with Measure is this really big funding gap between Black-led and white-led nonprofit organizations. And one of the things that Measure does, you do a lot of work, but you're supporting a lot of these Black-led nonprofit organizations that are going after funding, that are trying to figure out solutions for their community. Can you talk a little bit about some of that funding gap and the ways that Measure helps with that?
Yes, it's pretty phenomenal because we're always like, head first into the work. And to be able to have people go through like our care model program, for example, the care model is like the core and heart of what we do with having a community-led, data-driven model where people are actually including the community in developing the solution that they're going to be supporting that community with. And so when you have a lot of these grassroots organizations, they typically don't have their metrics in place or their complete theory of change or their actual long-term goals. And so we're able to help facilitate that process. And by the end, they have a whole community mobilization guide where they can really have a plan. They can present to a funder or present to the community to say, hey, this is how we're going to serve. And so with the organizations that have came through our program, we have We Can Now, Hearts to Heal. We have a list of organizations on our website that you guys can also check out. But coming out of that, hearing their success stories and saying like, oh, I got this $10,000 grant, or I was able to then submit on my own because I had, the data to self-advocate. And so a lot of our work has really helped build the confidence of these founders and then giving them the metrics to quantify the impact that they're creating to then have everything that they need to be able to secure funding. But a lot of the times it is about accessibility, and so we just want to make sure at least they have the tools necessary. So when the opportunity presents itself, they'll be equipped and ready to go.
Yeah, and I know that Measure kind of even dove a little deeper into this issue recently, and you all released one of your Black papers, your research papers about this topic in particular, focused on Central Texas nonprofits. And, one of the big things I saw when I was looking through that report is just the deep connection that a lot of times BIPOC-led organizations have to the communities they serve. This is a big issue, I think, that's been raised in the larger nonprofit community is boards and leadership that don't really look oftentimes like the communities in which they're designed to serve. And that's a big asset that a lot of the organizations you work with and a lot of Central Texas BIPOC-led organizations are helping to bring forward a bit. Do you want to talk anything about kind of that report and the work that was done there?
Yeah, no, thank you for highlighting that. And, a lot of the work that Measure does even comes from our own story and developing our C-suite, our board, and making sure that it is that clear representation. When you think about how, community and your network has a lot to play whenever you're building any type of business. And so being able to have your board represent who you want to serve does play a major role. And we like to make sure the data is accessible. So after doing that report, we make sure to publish our work as quick as we can because the work we do is for the people. And so they can be able to have the numbers to support what they're wanting to fight for. So if you guys do go to our website at wemeasure.org, you can be able to find this report, download it, and be able to pull out those data sets that can then serve for all the causes that you're advocating for.
Yeah, one thing that, I thought was so interesting about that and all the work you do is talking about this idea of quantifying or making more accessible so much of this lived experience data, which I think oftentimes isn't considered to be data. It gets ignored and it's so crucial. And especially, in times like the city of Austin, and I know a lot of other, established entities are saying that they're trying to highlight the lived experience or incorporate the lived experience of people in their policymaking, but there's a gap there. It doesn't always seem to work. So it seems like a lot of what you all are doing seem cool to me is like placing, like elevating that a bit and really making it seem official and just as important as some of that other data that might be traditionally out in the world.
That is my favorite part about the work that we do with lived experience. When it comes to qualitative data, you have to be patient, and you have to be considerate and mindful and just lead with the level of grace and love that a traditional quantitative survey just wouldn't be able to offer. One of the big aha moments I had was when COVID hit and we did our Austin, our COVID-19 survey, just surveying the community on their needs with how just, you know, COVID just kind of hit us out of nowhere. And so being able to have almost 1,000 Austinites fill out this survey, and on that last question, which was open-ended, I want to say about 30% of them actually gave us insight on their story. And we were able to elevate those stories and share their needs. And so with our equity focus group tool that we have here at Measure, we have a lot of government entities, school institutions that will bring us in to do this anti-racist data evaluation. And we will take the time to have the focus groups and also incentivize them and make sure that they're compensated for sharing their story and experience with us, and letting them know, like, I mean, it's unfortunate that we have to validate our lived experience, but our lived experience is data. And being able to create our black papers, that's what we call them here at Measure, our black papers, versus the white papers. We just say black papers because we can. And so within our black papers, we're then able to format it in such a beautiful way to tell their story and for people to understand, you know, this is their real life experience and it's worth honoring. You know, it's a level of honor and respect that comes with that work.
Yeah. I want to highlight another aspect of the work that you all do. I saw we even got a comment about it a little earlier. Someone wrote that Black girls are 6 times more likely to receive out-of-school suspension than their white counterparts. And as early as age 5, Black girls are viewed by adults as more knowledgeable about sex. And it got cut off there. But this is part of the Innocence Project that you all have worked on, right? The Innocence Initiative. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that program does?
Yes. So the Innocence Initiative was birthed out of a grant that we received. It just slipped my mind on the grant that we got. The collaborative that we put together, it was with Lone Star Justice Alliance, Community Advocacy and Healing Project, Hearts to Heal, Girl Scouts of Central Texas. We all came together and they were a part of really launching the Innocence Initiative with Measure. And so the Innocence Initiative is all about disrupting adultification bias. And I'm pretty sure some of you have no clue what adultification bias is. But even for myself, I knew what it was, but didn't know what it was called. And adultification is basically when you're hypersexualizing a child, and in our essence, a Black girl. You know, a lot of the times you have, and this is all races, all ages. Sometimes it happens in their household where they're being seen as quote unquote fast, or, you know, just different things that as women, as little girls, you know, we can't control how our body develops, you know, but unfortunately they're criminalized for it, you know, with whether their uniforms and how they're showing up at school, you know, being seen as being fast. And you have to remember they're a 10-year-old kid or they're a 9-year-old kid, and that they're still growing and developing. And so I'm a woman of love and grace, so I'm going to continue to embed that. That's one of my core values. And our goal is just to bring awareness to that. When you think about the Jezebel stereotype, the Mammy stereotype, the Sapphire, during 2020 was when we actually launched that. And we did a lot of online events and living room conversations is what we called it. And being able to hear moms and daughters come together and share these stories, it just really empowered us as Black women to take care of Black girls, because Black girls will become Black women. And so we were able to educate and train over 700 defense attorneys, because whenever a Black girl does go through the system, that's the first person she engages with. So making sure that they know how to talk to a Black girl, and that's just that simple terms, is very, very important. So for the Innocence Initiative coming up this year, we're going round 2 with our Travis County Girl Squad. This was also came out of COVID-19. I swear we did a major programming in 2020. We were like, okay, let's shift to the people in need. And so we opened it up for applications, and the requirements were they had to have gone through the juvenile system or through CPS, or just had challenges with COVID. And so we ended up getting 10 girls to go through the program. They were going through support group sessions with Black female psychologists. We gave them a monthly cash stipend, a Chromebook, all the resources that they need to just kind of push through. And we've had like 2 of our girls get accepted to a couple universities.
Wow.
And just being able to hear their stories, the mom stories, how they were saying that the program impacted them. So we're going through round 2 right now, and we just kicked off with applications for our mentees and mentors for that program. So a lot of things are happening with the Innocence Initiative, and we just recently partnered with Truckers Against Trafficking to do a campaign, a brand awareness campaign with them, and really educating truck drivers, bus drivers, so that, you know, Black girls can feel seen. So yeah.
Yeah, it's such an amazing program because it feels like this space where you took the data that you're seeing out there in the world. You know, I think a lot of this is really well documented and figured out a way to act on it, right? Or to do something about it right here in our local community and like applying that data in some way.
Application is key. We want
Hmm.
the numbers for change and not just talk about the numbers.
Yeah. Another thing I saw that you all did that I loved was you made kind of like a zine or a coloring book or something as part of that project. I'm a huge zine fan and I loved it. I thought it was awesome. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
That was our partnership with the Texas Women's Magazine. And so we were letting them know that we had this idea to do a comic book, and that's one of the great outcomes that comes with including the community. And
Hmm.
so it was one of the ideas of our volunteer, and we were like, that sounds like a good idea. Let's see what that looks like. And then we had another volunteer that decided to actually draw the book, and he's a young Black artist in Austin as well. And so they gave us 8 pages in their magazine to insert the comic book, as well as help print over. I think we did 30,000 copies. I'm not gonna lie, I think
Wow.
it was that big of a number where I was just like, wow, was just super grateful. And so we were able to actually pass that out to young girls in the community. And then whenever we had our community data gatherings in person, we would also hand those out too. But we were able to mail off a lot for all the girls that participated in our BU Summit. That was another girl empowerment online event that we did, and had about 300 Black and brown girls that attended that. So being able to partner with Girl Scouts and send them a comic book and some Girl Scout patches, it's just so fun. It makes me feel like a kid all over again, being able to connect with them at that age.
Yeah, I wonder for you, you said you've been involved with Measure for a few years now. Like, what is it that keeps you coming back to it, that keeps you invigorated? Because it's hard work, being engaged in the nonprofit space. What about it is so fulfilling to you or exciting?
You know what? It's really bittersweet to love solving problems.
Right.
I love problem solving. Math was always my favorite subject. And so in the space, because there's a few levels to it, right? Or layers, because it's the space of like actually creating change in the community. Then it's the space of developing this organization and business. Then it's actually mobilizing our volunteers that are like, hey, I like what you guys are doing. How can I be a part? So the demand is there, and that's really what keeps me going, is like people are ready to serve, people are still in need. Why stop? And this is, I do believe, is just like God driven work. And so part of that, I mean, majority of it is that I'm definitely one of those people that I've always been nominated for leadership roles, and I'm like, I would do a disservice if I didn't show up with the spirit of excellence. So it's the people that actually keep me motivated to continue doing this work.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that attitude, spirit of excellence. Good one to keep in mind for today. We're running a little short on time, but I want to close maybe with action items, ways for the public to get engaged. So we were talking about Amplify Day. Obviously, that's a big one that's going on until 6 p.m. tonight. Though I'm sure Measure accepts donations all year round, but
24/7, 24.
you can go to, I think, amplifyatx.org and type in Measure in the search bar there to donate online. We'll also drop in a link when we post the recording of this so people can have that donation link. But any other ways for people to get involved or connected with Measure and the work that you all do?
Awesome. Yeah. So outside of donating today for Amplify Austin Day, you can become a monthly donor. Some of you may have employee match programs at your job where they'll be able to match donations. So that's always a great help in having people support the work on a more consistent basis. We do have amazing events and exclusive access. We're really revamping our donor management program because we want to be able to give you guys all of the inside scoop on the work that we're doing. And to be honest, we're doing so much amazing work. Sometimes it's hard to share everything, but we want to make sure that our donors are in the know on the change that we're creating on a day-to-day basis. We're also in the process of launching our first like tech platform. It's actually going to be a social networking app for Black, Brown, multiracial, multi-ethnic organizations to be able to connect. It's going to be that social hub. So us breaking out and being Black in tech is another the next level or the next phase of Measure. And so anyone in the tech space that wants to be able to support us from a UX design perspective, or being able to just help with marketing, that's really the need that we're looking to serve as we're looking to become a true sustainable organization.
Yeah, that's always the battle I know with nonprofits. I feel like they're always doing so much work. And a lot of times I talk to nonprofits, I'm like, tell people about it. But it's always like the focus, where it should be, is on doing the work. But today is a day to tell people about it. So I'm really glad they were able to take the time and that we're able to help tell people about it as much as we can. And to everyone listening, again, amplifyatx.org, Measure, and then your website, I think, is wemeasure.org.
wemeasure.org.
Okay, great. We'll post links to everything, and I think that's it for today, but thank you for joining us, and thank you to everyone else for listening, and remember to support Measure and all these amazing nonprofits on Amplify Day.
All for tuning in, all of who's going to watch the replay. Like, we need you, we love you, and just we thank you in advance.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye.